under the pale moonlight. Vinny and Phil bring the shadows to life. Tales of the ghostly whispers in the night. Bigfoot and aliens ready for the strife. The darkness thickens, the air is cold. Haunting stories waiting to unfold. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. EVPs echo through the haunted trees. Demons lurk as the chill hits with ease. But the caps rolling with gets to amaze. Cryptids and spirits were lost in the haze. Northmen in the foliage, watch your back. Dogmen prowling, ready to attack. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. Moving in the foliage, watch your back. Thunder prowling, ready to attack. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. So tune in next week, fear in your soul. Darkness awaits, let the stories unfold.
If your dog starts acting like this, it may be warning you of an evil presence. A woman named Milena explains her dog has never acted like this before.
What do you see? Oh my god.
You can see the fur on its back stand up, as if it's being threatened by something.
Girl, don't get me scared.
Was Milena's dog warning her of a malevolent spirit in the room? Or is it just something else?
Please share, please follow. I always follow back. Help me reach 2,000 followers.
This footage captured something we cannot explain.
Stay quiet, buddy.
Watch.
Oh my god.
This footage captured something we cannot explain.
Stay quiet, buddy.
Watch.
Oh my god.
I bet they can hear me now. Can you hear me now? I bet they can hear me now. They got to be able to hear me now. It's showing sound now. I don't know what to do. Should I start the show over or cancel? Cindy, thanks for letting me know my audio was screwed up. Should I just start over or what? Ah. Oh. Well. Yeah, should I just start the whole show all over again or what? We've got a live caller telling me my sound is out.
No. She tried to call me and she just wrote no.
No, she can't hear me still?
Yeah.
She can hear me.
No, she can't hear you still.
Really? I see my sound going out.
Weird, but nobody on Facebook can hear you. It might be going on everything else.
I don't know. Jump on there now and see if you can hear me. If anybody at home can hear me, please send a message. Cammy's supposed to be monitoring it. She's probably out there asleep. Oh, I'm getting a call from Russellville. Hello?
Yeah, I was going to say we can hear them now.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's coming through.
My soundboard messed up. Should I start the show all over again?
How much of the show did you start with?
I'm 24 minutes in.
Yeah, you might want to start it over again.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. I've got callers. I got 2 callers on the line right now, and I don't ever get callers, so I'm just excited to get callers.
Join it, brother. Just thought I'd let you know.
Well, I guess I'll start over.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for calling in, Big Daddy.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, we got sound now, apparently. All right. I'm just gonna start over. Come on. I don't give up that easy, so we're gonna fire this thing up. Okay, we got audio now. I need a new soundboard, and Walmart and Best Buy were out of them, so I'm gonna have to order one. But I've got a one doll Addie over here. We've been trying different haunted objects every week, see if they're haunted anyway, because supposedly objects can get attachments to them. So she was setting off cat balls for 2 weeks in a row, and I took her little boyfriend away, and then now she's not doing anything. So maybe she's pouting. I don't know. Maybe I should bring him back. But we got a new doll. We got a baby doll this week, and we got a little red-headed girl here with her pigtails. And I've got cat balls. These cat balls are basically the cat hits it, and it's the motion sets it off. So if it's just sitting there and it goes off, the whole premise is it must be something outside force affecting it, like, paranormal. So got those. We got the K2 here. K2 is basically an EMF meter, electromagnetic frequency meter. It'll pick up electromagnetic energy, but these have the shielding removed. They're not like an industrial one, so they're real sensitive. So like I can tap it, make it light up. So it's sensitive to vibration too. So if you have it sitting on a table and you're running anything with a speaker, don't put the speaker on the same table because it'll set this off too, and you'll think it's doing things. The other thing will set it off is your phone. Phone will set it off because your phone gives off EMF. Your Wi-Fi gives off EMF. Your TV set gives off pretty high EMF. So don't get these anywhere near your phone. It's better to investigate in airplane mode if you can, so it's not giving off any EMF. Your TV, your Wi-Fi. If you got an Apple Watch or one of those smart watches, it'll set it off. So you might be holding it in your hand with the watch setting it off. So anyway, we'll see if they got any kind of activity going on. Another thing I was talking about, when you're out if you're out in the field, you're going to try to get pictures of evidence. Try to take at least 3 pictures in the same exact spot, 3 in a row, and then when you look back, see if there's anything different, like a blur, a shadow, anything different that you're looking for, an anomaly in those. So I always try to do at least 3. If I think my sensitive people are pointing at something, or the dog sees something, or the dog starts wagging his tail and there's nobody there, I take a bunch of pictures. But if you're a little shaky and your pictures come out kind of fuzzy sometimes, I recommend putting your phone or your camera on a tripod. Like today, it's too windy. I wouldn't even go out and investigate, at least not with pictures today, because it's just too windy, because your camera will be shaking. But I found if you put it on a tripod and hit the timer, walk away, or if you have a remote trigger, you can trigger that camera on a tripod, let it stabilize a little bit. You get a lot better pictures that way. The other thing I recommend is one of these little digital recorders. You can get rechargeable ones. You get with batteries. Put a little SD card in there. You can, or some of them have internal memory. You can download them on your computer, run them through audio software. What you're doing is you're listening for any kind of response. So if you're in a paranormal area, you may want to ask questions, and what you're dealing with is in a different dimension. It could be in a different time, different dimension, and give them at least 15 seconds to reply before you ask the next question. And then you're not talking over them if they do respond. Most of the time, you won't hear anything. And what you do hear, normally it'll be on the playback. But if you hear something with your own ears, like something talking to you, that's called a disembodied voice. If you hear something like that, but they call them EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon, which you record, and basically there's 3 types. There's Class A, B, and C. A Class A EVP would be very clear audio, like you can clearly understand what they're saying. May not be in your language, but you can understand it. Class B would be kind of a whisper. They're quieter, but you can still hear. You can still understand what they're saying. Class C would be you got a response, but it's like gibberish. It might just be a noise, or you don't know what it is. But if you do go out investigating, just try to be safe. If you're going to a cemetery or abandoned location, remote location, it's best to call the sheriff, let them know you're going to be out there in case somebody calls or whatever, to get permission, even better. But just be safe out there. But I will tell you this, a lot of stuff you see on TV, they may have been filming there for weeks, before they got any evidence. I did these recordings probably a year and a half before I ever got my first response. And that was going on investigations, 3 or 4 a month, some pretty active locations. It doesn't happen every time you go out. It actually, a lot of activities rarely happen. So you got to kind of, if you're going to do this, you got to be kind of dedicated and stick with it and be prepared for nothing to happen. Just a lot of, some people get bored, but, I try to change it up and try different equipment, different things, different techniques, ask them weird questions. If you go into a popular location, those ghosts are used to hearing somebody go, what's your name? How did you die? How old are you? We try to ask them different stuff like, what's your favorite car? What do you like to eat? We ask them off the wall stuff that they're not used to getting questions. So these little recorders, EVPs, you can get an old cassette recorder. anything like that that'll record audio is great for that. Your cameras, your cell phone cameras are great. Especially even if you want to do astronomy, you can use these newer iPhones. Just put it on the tripod, keep stuff from being blurry. Um, Old Polaroid cameras, they get some really weird stuff showing up on the old Polaroids. We've got 3 or 4 we're going to try out this year. Just 35 millimeter, any kind of camera, digital, it don't matter. But always try to take at least 3 pictures in one spot. So you're looking for that anomaly. I've got I don't know who all out there has pets. I've got a dog, and if I take him to a cemetery and he looks out of the, when there's nothing there and he starts wagging his tail like he sees somebody, I start taking pictures. So I think pets are very sensitive. Pets and young children can see things that we can't. They're closer to the veil. Like I think when a baby's born, they just come into this world, but they're still kind of familiar with where they just came from. And as they get older, I think some of their gifts go away. But little kids can see stuff that we can't. Plus, our brains might go, "Oh, that's nothing," but a kid might think, "Oh, I got an imaginary friend," So same way with pets. So if your dog is growling at something and acting all crazy, could be something there. It could be something evil. Or if he's wagging his tail, it could be something friendly that we can't see. But that's what this next video is about.
If your dog
my
starts acting
God.
like this, it may be warning you of an evil presence. A woman named Milena explains her dog has never acted like this before.
What do you see? Oh my God.
You can see the fur on its back stand up, as if it's being threatened by something.
Girl, you get me scared.
Was Milena's dog warning her of a malevolent spirit in the room, or is it just something else?
So my dog can actually smell or hear stuff outside, and he'll start growling like somebody walking in the backyard. So I don't ever usually think it's something paranormal. But when I was a kid, we had an old china cabinet, like one of those pie safes, with the glass doors, like a cabinet. And I had a beagle, and he just walked over to that cabinet, he looked up at it, he started growling, and he put his tail between his legs and he took off running. I was right behind him. So trust your animals if they got something going on. Same way with like storms, earthquakes. I think especially cats, they start doing weird stuff right before an earthquake. So always pay attention to your animals. I know there's a lot of people I know they trust animals more than they do people. The lady that's dating me now, she the first time she came over to my house, she was like, "Well, I guess I'm gonna hang out a while." I said, "Okay." She goes, "You know why?" I'm like, "No." She said, "Well, I watched your dog. Every time you moved your hands or anything," she goes, "he never flinched. He never cowered, never nothing." And she goes, "I knew that dog had never been mistreated or hit or anything." She goes, "I trust the dog more than I do you because I don't know you." So, ladies, if you go to some guy's house or you're dating somebody for the first time, or same way with guys, you get around some lady and the dog seems, chill around them and everything, that's a good sign. Always trust the dog. The dogs usually won't lie. And she's still here. And the dog's still here too. All right. Shout out to Cammy Girl there. This thing was in Louisiana. A lot of people heard of the Rougarou creature down in Louisiana. It's kind of like a skinwalker type creature, but this is a new one I haven't heard of before. This is called the Tall Pale Man. Shout out to Paranormal Fascinations for that clip. Not sure if that thing was AI or just a picture, but it looked awful skinny. It didn't have no face or eyes or nothing, so hard telling what that was. But that was out of Louisiana. Another thing that we like to do is use IR cameras, especially if we're out of a night, and we look for things that self-illuminate. That's why we use the infrared cameras. And a lot of times people see these little balls floating around. They call them orbs. They think they're energy. Or most of the time, it's dust. And then a lot of people send me pictures from their security cameras, and it'll look like a fairy, or some kind of bat or a big creature. And a lot of times it's a mayfly, and it just gets stuck on the camera lens. The wings and everything look like, up close, it looks like a fairy. Some of these cameras have like a bug eye lens, so it does like a 360 of a whole room. Those seem to be the worst for picking up dust. Like the AC kicks on and you can't see the dust. It's microscopic, but the camera will pick it up. And any little illumination, the IR lights it up. It'll look like these orbs. But the IR, what I'm talking about, is infrared. So in the pitch black, there's an infrared light goes out. A lot of the cameras have a tiny infrared. They call it a torch. And then I use external infrared torches because my camera can only see out about 10 feet. So if you put that light on there, you can see out about 20, 30 feet. But those lights will illuminate dust, and it'll look like an orb. This one here was kind of compelling. I don't do a lot of orb pictures, but this one was different. It's kind of self-illuminating, and it's kind of fluttering, and it almost looks like it's quivering, almost like it's on water or something, like projecting. See what you guys think of this. Shout out to Unfiltered Paranormal on that one. I don't know. It almost looked like it might have been projected, like a projector, but it was the way it was moving around. It wasn't like on a tripod or like a stationary projector. So I don't know. That was my latest orb for this week. This one comes out of Missouri. Unless you're from the Ozarks, and they'll call it Missouri territory. At first, I thought this was supposed to be Mothman, but it almost looks like some kind of bird creature. But when it comes walking, the legs don't look like a bird. They almost look like humanoid type legs. And then it could be AI, but I just thought it was cool. So here we go.
This footage captured something we cannot explain.
Stay quiet, buddy.
Watch.
Oh my god.
Thing was hilarious, but it was kind of like walking like an ostrich or something at first, like a bird, and then but the wings kind of looked like bat wings or something, But anyway, this next one I'm calling it Creepy Girl, and this guy's, I think he's investigating the house. He's going around with his camera, and it looks like a little girl like peeking around the corner at him, and I've never seen nothing like that, But if I did, that'd be pretty freaky. But I don't know if this is a lot of stuff I get. I don't know for sure if it's real or whatever. But I'll tell you if I think it's fake. But I'm not sure on this one. But if I think something's legit, I'm going to tell you. This one I'm not sure. But watch for the little girl. I'm going to call her Creepy Girl because she's creepy and she's a girl. Hence the name Creepy Girl. His reaction was pretty legit. Like he started breathing heavier and everything, like he saw something. But I'm gonna roll one more time, just in case you missed it. Look on the left side of that door, like an opening, and she's got some black hair hanging down. sounded like a disembodied voice too. It sounded like the little girl went, huh? So he may or may not have seen that, but he definitely heard some. I heard it, so it may have been a disembodied voice. Got some more cryptid stuff going on, and we're going to roll into some other aliens and whatnot. But this one, I've heard this story a few different versions, and you know how a conspiracy theory goes. If you hear it enough times, there could be something to it. And this is just another version of this same story I've heard out of Afghanistan. And the first couple of stories I heard, the soldiers went into a cave and this thing attacked them and it took out a bunch of them before they finally killed it. And everything I've heard about or read about it was a giant, like humanoid type creature, and it had red hair, which if you follow some of the biblical stories, like Book of Enoch, different things, they talk about the Nephilims, and the Nephilims are supposed to be like fallen angels, and they procreated with humans, and their offspring are these giants, and a lot of them have red hair. They're known as the Nephilim. So that's kind of what we got going on here. There's been all these stories about where they took it, put it on a big cargo plane, and there's all these stories about this thing.
They killed the giant, and then they airlifted him out by helicopter to Bagram Airfield. And this is where our pilot picks up the story, and he's there to load the body. And so they had to weigh the cargo to put it on the airplane. And the loadmaster weighed it at 1,500 pounds. Subtracting the pallet, the air cargo pallet, they knew that the body weighed exactly 1,100 pounds, or approximately, I should say, 1,100 pounds. But they knew that was the weight because that was the weight that was being loaded onto the C-130. 1,100 pounds. So 12 foot tall, 1,100 pounds.
Monster.
And 6 fingers, 6 toes. And then the pilot, after they loaded the cargo, he had to take it to Qatar and unload it in Qatar. And then he told me he heard through the grapevine that the giant, the dead giant, ultimately made its way to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, he didn't know for sure, but that's what he heard.
That's huge, huge. I can't imagine any kind of creature weighing that much, but that's very similar to the other stories I've heard. This one comes out of Vermont, and let's see. Okay, this is a 2-part one, and this lady kind of gives you a premise and an intro to what this thing is, and she sees it, and she thinks it looks like a Yeti, which Bigfoot looks a lot like a Yeti. What a Yeti would look like if we saw one. Yeti's like the abominable snowman, the Bumble, and then our Bigfoot's a darker haired one. But this is a 2-part, so I'm going to roll part 1, then we'll go on into part 2. Here we go, part 1. The Vermont. I'm going to call it a Vermont cryptid because we don't know what it is, but she says it looks kind of like a Yeti.
Okay, no fucking joke. I'm loading up wood, and I look up, and this is what I see. Wait for it.
All right, here we go. We're going to go right into part 2. We're not going to make you wait. Here we go.
Why does it look like a goddamn Yeti? Anybody? Because it's real tall. I'm not down with it. Alright. I think it's time to go back inside now.
Yeah, most definitely time to go in the house when you see that thing out there in the trees. Mercy. And let's see, we did the Mothman bird creature. We did the Vermont. Okay. I'm calling this one Don't Look Back. Whatever you do, don't look behind you. Just keep running. Just keep hauling ass. Don't look behind you on this one. Yeah, don't look behind you. If you're running down the hill in the snow and that thing's behind you, just keep going, man. Don't look back. Let's see here. I think I have another. This here is a ocean-going cryptid, and I went hunting for these teeth before for this creature. We're talking about a shark. This thing was huge. It was the size of a bus, and it ate fish the size of Volkswagens. And you'll find that if you find those big teeth, they're worth a couple $1,000s a piece if they're completely intact. They find them off Florida, up in the rivers of Florida, off the coast, off on the Gulf side, down by Tampa area. But then a lot of them are found down in South Carolina, down around I believe the Edisto River area. And if you go down there, just be careful. Don't try not to go alone. Have a lookout because they do have alligators and dolphins actually come up in there. Usually the dolphins won't mess with you, but if they mistake you for fish or something, they're prey. It could be aggressive, but definitely just the water's kind of murky. So I went down there digging in the bank for them and sifting them out, but I was 45 miles from the ocean, and kind of freaked me out because I was digging and my hole kept filling up with water. And I was like, man, they got a high water table here. I dig a little more and like water to come up my hole. And I was like, what's going on? And I heard some splashing behind me. And I got out of there pretty fast because I thought, oh, it's got to be a gator. And I turned around and there was a tree limb and it had a leaf hanging down. It was just right above the water. But what I didn't realize, while the water was coming up in my hole slowly, the tide was coming in. I was 45 miles from the ocean, and the tide was coming up. That water came up a couple feet, and the leaf dangling above the water was now in the water, and it was splashing, and the current was hitting the leaf. I heard that. I thought gator. I freaked myself out, basically. But, yeah. So if I go back, we may try to go dredging for them. A lot of people go down there and feel around for the shark teeth and the megalodon teeth. But I thought sure the creature, I thought it was a alligator had going to have a hold of me. But things to think about if you go anywhere near the ocean, even if you're 40, 50 miles away, that tide can come inland that far. And I didn't even think about it because I'm from Illinois. We don't have tides, we don't. I thought, well, the water hole's filling up water. Anyway, it was from this creature, the teeth I was looking for.
So you're telling me you believe the megalodon is not extinct and actually still out there?
Brother, I don't just believe, I know. 11 years ago, I was a part of a classified NASA operation called Project Deep Dive. We were researching deep sea marine biology. And when I say deep sea, I mean really deep. Like most of our research expeditions, we're over 30,000 feet under the ocean's surface. When you're that deep in the ocean, you start to realize how little we know about this abyss we call the ocean. We might as well have been in deep space. That's what it feels like when you're down there. Like we were discovering new species every day. So one day we were on a routine field expedition when I see something strange on my radar. It was picking up a reading of a contact that was over 200 feet long and was moving at like 2 miles per hour. I'm thinking to myself, like, this must be a glitch. I radio the other submarine. We always did research in pairs, so he was close by. I asked him, like, hey, are you seeing this? Without asking me to clarify, he just says, yeah, I'm seeing it. At this point, I don't know what to think. Like, the biggest...
Well, I don't know about that. Does anybody out there know how deep a submarine can go? 30,000 feet, that's about 6 miles down, roughly. You got 5,280 feet in a mile, I think, if I remember correctly. And then 30,000 would be pretty close to 6 miles down. So, I don't know. I wish they'd have showed a picture of it. Maybe they don't have cameras that work that deep. I don't know, but they definitely picked up something moving along. I wonder if it was another submarine. It's plausible. somebody can make a submarine look like a big shark and drive it around just to spy on people and stuff. So that's pretty interesting. The megalodon. I've read the rumors where they think there's still some giant creatures like that because we don't really know what's down there. There's a lot of the earth underwater has never been explored. Every once in a while they get one of those giant squid wash up. The eyeballs like big as a dinner plate. But there was a great white shark that they put these trackers on them, like they put out some fish and it comes up to eat the fish and they hit it with a dart and it's got a tracker and a satellite and they're studying the migrating patterns, where do these fish live, where do they eat, plus it's kind of nice to know where the big great white's at in case you want to close the beach, and so they had one. I'm thinking either Africa or Australia, somewhere. I don't think it was off the United States. Anyway, the great white all of a sudden started going down like super fast. And the next thing they know, the satellite had a temperature monitor on it. The temperature changed like abruptly, like the thing got eaten. I think we're getting another caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
I have a ghost story.
Yeah, you're on the air with Phil Billy.
I can't find you. I was talking to Cindy about this. When you put the podcast up, can you put a link with it? Because we're having a hard time finding you.
A link?
Yeah, can you do that when you put it out there?
Okay. Where do you want me to put a link at?
Either Facebook, probably Facebook, because that's where I mainly watch you.
Oh, okay, well
sometimes I can't find it. I put in the supernatural investigation. It brings your page up, but your supernatural podcast is not on there.
Supernatural Sundays has its own page. It's Supernatural Sundays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it's supposed to link to the Supernatural Investigation Squad page, and we're also on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Supernatural Sundays.
All right, Joanne, hold on.
You're on live with Joanne. Did you have a question for us? You're on the air.
No, I have a good story.
Oh, would you like to share it with everybody?
Yeah. It was one night, it was like last week. I had two autistic girls, and one of them was having trouble going to sleep. So I went into her room, which was my mom's room when my mom was alive. I can't do this in here.
We've set a record tonight, folks. Most callers ever on Supernatural Sundays. This is our third call tonight. Yes!
So I was sitting with Jessica trying to get her to go to sleep. And my son, as you can hear, he was yelling at me then. And my mom used to get on me when I used to yell at Jonathan when he was little. I was sitting on Jessica's bed, which was my mom's bed when she was alive. And I was yelling at Jonathan to stop fussing. I'm trying to get her to go to sleep. The bed shook. The whole bed shook. And I'm like, oh, that was weird. Then a few minutes, he started yelling again. I said, Jonathan, stop yelling. When I did that, I felt something touch my side. I'm like, okay, no, I'm out of here. I think it was my mom.
And this was in your house?
Yeah, in my trailer, yeah. Her ashes are in my kitchen on a shelf in my kitchen.
Did this activity just start, or has this stuff been kind of going on?
It's been happening off and on since my mom passed away. But I've had activity in the trailer before my mom passed away. We've always had activity in this trailer.
Are you the first ones to own the trailer?
No, we are not. But the weird thing is, do you remember that picture I sent to you of that double wide with the apparition I took in the window? I sent a picture in of an apparition I took in the window of the double wide that is next door to me. That trailer has 5 spirits in it. And I think they come into my trailer. Because every once in a while I see shadows and I see stuff move.
Do you think there's
And it's just,
you think there's 5 spirits in a trailer next to your trailer?
yes.
Are you in a trailer park or are you out in the country?
Yes.
Okay.
We're in the country, but we're in a trailer park.
Okay, so me and my clairaudient, we call him Scary Gary. Gary, he hears stuff. We actually went here to Bowling Green where there was a trailer park for a long time. Like I think it was probably there 30, 40 years, and they taken out all the trailers, and it was just abandoned. And I told Gary, I said we should check that out because who knows over the years how many people's lived there and left, and all that activity in one central location. So we went out and investigated the trailer park where there's no trailers there anymore, and we had some weird anomalies. Like Gary was hearing a little boy said he was playing in the road and got hit. He was on his bicycle. He could hear. And then we took a picture and we got kind of like almost like a smiley face. Weird, but the K2 meter, like this one, it would actually we were in a spot in the road and it would go off. Now this trailer park had been taken out. No power, no phone lines, no nothing. And this one spot in the road about 4 foot off the ground is where Gary said the little boy was. This thing would go off. It would go all the way to red. And we don't know why.
See spirits?
He sees shadows once in a while, but he doesn't see spirits. Usually he'll see some shadows once in a while. He hears them talking to him, yes.
Yeah.
And then I've got another lady on my team. She hears stuff talking to her too. And then we've got a couple other people that are sensitive. They feel it, their stomach, or they get touched. I'm not very sensitive. Like I usually don't see. I never hear anything. I use these recorders to pick it up. But I have had.
Where I'm at is very active.
Do you smell anything?
Oh yeah. Let's see. When my grandpa's around, I smell sawdust. He passed away at a sawmill that he worked at.
Well, that makes sense.
My mom, I smell cigarette smoke and coffee, freshly brewed coffee. There is not a coffee maker in my trailer because I don't drink coffee, and I'll smell coffee out of nowhere.
So we've had. I've been in 2 different locations where we smelled something bad, like super stinky. Like you got stink bomb, and then there's a cemetery over past Land Between the Lakes over by Benton, Kentucky. It's called Asbury. And me and another team member, Jennifer, she's our full Reiki master. She smelled it first. She's like, I'm smelling like cigar smoke. We're like, okay. And then about 10 minutes later, I smelled it. So there's that's why I asked if you smelled anything. Because a lot of times there'll be smells attributed to different, energies.
Do you know about the Stonewall Jackson death site? It is where they took Stonewall Jackson after he got shot in Chancellorsville.
Okay.
And that's where he died. And we were on 4th of July. It was the 4th of July before my mom had passed away. We went in there, and as soon as we got there, I got out. It smelled like death. I mean, it smelled like death. And I got out and I smelled it. It wasn't too strong in the parking lot. But as I walked closer to the building, the house that's there, it got real strong. And my mom smelled it. My son could smell it. And I told my mom, do you smell that? And my mom says, yeah, I do. And mom said, oh, it's probably just deer that been killed on the train track or something. I told Mama, I said, I don't know. Mama, I think that's with this place. Because they used it as a field hospital during the Civil War. They took the people there after they got shot, and they were doing amputations and everything there. And I think it's the site.
There's a.
Are you still there?
Yeah. There's a house in Springfield, Kentucky, and it was used for a field hospital. And there's one room in that house that the floor is painted green, because that's the only color paint they could get would cover up the blood stains. It's called the green room in the house. I think
There's a house and there's a house of Paris and Palatine County that they use for a field hospital. And there's a spot in their pool, and they tried everything to cover it up, and it just keeps coming back.
So what town are you located in?
I'm in Woodford, Virginia.
You're in Virginia. Okay. That would be a pretty good drive for us to come check it out. But what we do?
It used to be a 200 acre plantation back in the Civil War called Nancy Wright's farm.
Okay.
And this, I saw two. It was way before they did all this construction and tearing down the woods and all this stuff. I was walking my dog. It was like February, I think it was, and I saw something, and I'm like, "What is that?" And I looked. It was two Confederate soldiers walking towards the woods at the back of our used to be our playground with their muskets on their shoulders. And I was watching them, and then they stopped. It's like 2:00 in the morning.
Wow.
And I saw them. They stopped. They turned. They looked directly at me. I'm like, uh-oh. And one said something to the other, but I couldn't hear him. I could see them talking to each other. And then the one looked at the other, and it looked like he was getting ready to walk towards me. And then the other one said something, and then they started walking and disappeared into the woods. And I've seen them like 3 times.
Wow. Like the same night or just different nights? Like you may be sensitive if you're seeing that kind of stuff. Not everybody can see that.
There's a guy that lives in Gettysburg. He's in paranormal investigator, and he thinks I'm a sensitive.
Could be. If you hear them or you see them.
I see them every once in a while, but not as much as I can sense them and smell. I smell everything.
For me, it's the smells. I've smelled things and I've had stuff touch me. But as far as like just normally seeing stuff or hearing stuff, I usually don't hear it unless it's disembodied. I'll hear it. Like we were up at Ross Opera House in Cynthiana, Kentucky, and it sounded like a baby crying. And it also kind of sounded like a cat meowing. But that old theater back in the day, if you go to the women's restroom, they have a little room off of the women's restroom. It's like a closet with a seat and a window. And basically, if you got a fussy baby or baby crying back in the day, I almost wish they still had these. But anyway, you take your baby and you go into the women's bathroom and you go in this little room. It's called the crying room if you got a crying baby. The room is soundproof. So you go in there and you shut the door and you can deal with your baby and try to calm your baby down and comfort your baby. And there's a window and you can sit there and watch the movie. And there's a speaker in there. You can hear the movie. For the ladies that have a fussy baby, it's called the crying room. We thought maybe that's what we were hearing. You know, maybe there was still a little baby crying, you know, residual, you know, like the thing with a soldier, you're seeing it every once in a while. It could be the energy, like playing in a film loop, like a residual. Because I got to.
The 2 soldiers that I saw got killed by General Wright's picket. There was a Union camp, a Union regiment camped on this site somewhere on that farm. I think it was like March of 1864 or something like it. It was right almost towards the end of the war. And I think that they're buried somewhere around here.
Could be.
I think the picket killed them.
Not all of your grave sites are marked. Sometimes there's, and then especially like we've got two different. We got Perrysville, and there's another battlefield. Trying to think, it's over towards Somerset.
It's just
Anyway,
like
they
that
have mounds. They have mound. There's mound burials, like they didn't mark the graves; they just piled them up, threw dirt on them. There's two of those that I know of. There's over 2,000 buried at Perryville like that. So that's why one of the reasons we think it's pretty active. But when you see these looks like soldiers, if you say anything, do they interact or they just keep doing their thing no matter what?
Well, they, like I said, they stopped. They looked. One looked like he was getting ready to come towards me. Another one said something, and then they just turned and started walking back towards the woods.
That's pretty interesting.
They saw me.
The ones there's a lady in Springfield, Kentucky, and there was a road went through by her house where they marched back up to Perryville. She said about every 2 months she'll see two soldiers just walk by her kitchen window. It's just, and she's tried to say hey, and they just no response, no nothing. They just keep going. That's a residual. If the haunting or the whatever you see just keeps doing its thing, but if it turns and looks at you and interacts, then that's an intelligent haunting. Those may not always be a human spirit either. If it's intelligent, it could be other things. So that you got to be very careful sometimes.
Yeah.
There's stuff out there can mimic a human spirit.
I'm trying not to mess with them. I turned and walked and got back in my trailer. I was like, nope.
So the activity.
Sometimes when I used to walk around here when I was trying to lose weight, I was walking around the trailer park at nighttime, and I could hear what sounded like cavalry. You know, the shaking of the bits and the chains and the squeaking of the leather. I could hear that in the woods.
There's a festival.
And there's no horses around here. They're not in this area. They're not close by.
So there's a guy that runs the. It's in Lexington, and around November it's called Cryptid Con, and they have all the Bigfoot investigators there, the people from the Expedition Bigfoot and the different Bigfoot shows, and all the researchers. And the guy that runs that Cryptid Con, he lives by Perryville, Kentucky, and he showed me a picture that he got one night, and it looks like a guy on the horse, like an apparition. So, and there's another fort down in Tennessee I went to where they have heard horses coming through there, and there's no horses there. It's like the fort's been shut down for 100 years, whatever, and there's something to that. The activity in your trailer. Is this something you're wanting somebody to come and just try to get some evidence and tell you what it is, or you want it gone? You want help, cleansing your...
No, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
They don't bother me. They don't do anything. It's sometimes something will fly off the shelf, or like a pack of Ziploc bags will go flying across the kitchen or something. But that's about it.
Well, if you're cool with it, if you just want to live with it, that's cool too.
They don't bother me.
That's awesome.
One of our neighbors, my mom was in the hospital. She had an aneurysm, and she was in the hospital. She had been in the hospital for a while. And one of our neighbors that would come down and knock on the door to watch us put my twins on the school bus. And she was 84 years old, I think. How old she was. She had a stroke and passed away while my mom was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And my mom came out from the hospital and said, I hasn't been down here. I was like, I didn't want to tell her why she was in the hospital. I said, Mom, I'd have passed away. She said, oh, she did. I said, yeah, while you was in the hospital, I didn't want to tell you. And then a couple days after that, we were sitting in the living room getting the kids ready for school, and I heard a knock on the door. I'm like, who in the world could that be at this time in the morning? Mom looked at me, and she kind of half jokingly said, oh, it might be Adam. I was like, nah. I got up and opened the door, there was nobody there.
Wow.
And then it was a Saturday morning. She would come down during the weekend too. It was a Saturday morning, and I heard a knock on the door. My daughter Joanne got up, skipped across the floor, opened the door up. She opened the screen. I was like, "Did you just let Ida in?" And she giggled, and they're nonverbal. She giggled and rolled back to her bed and got out of bed. And I'm like, "She just let Ida in."
Yeah, kids and animals can see stuff that we can't.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Every so often,
sound like we could
we'll hear a knock at the door.
sound like we could spend a whole week there.
Open the door up. It's crazy.
We had a lady in Benton, Kentucky that was having a similar activity. Like almost every other night at exactly 11 o'clock, she would get a knock on her door. And she'd look on her cameras. There's nobody there. She'd open the door. Nobody there. And we're like, what's going on? You know, and she finally said, can you come over here and put cameras in my woods, whatever, to see if she goes, there's something knocking on my door, you know. And like you're saying, like a phantom knock, and then it just goes away. And so we got over there, and I was there with another team, and they had an obelisk device, and it kind of picks up energy, and it'll spell out little words. And so as soon as we got there, we were out in the driveway, and it said motorcycle crash. And so I asked the homeowner. I
think I remember y'all videotaped that, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, and so we, you know, she said, well, my fiance, you know, he died last year in a motorcycle crash. You know, wasn't around there, because I asked her, did somebody crash in front of your house? Was there a wreck? You know, she's like, no, but my fiance. And I'm trying to remember what his name was, but anyway, about 5 minutes later, we got a name, and I think it was Michael or Mike or something like that, if I remember right. And so I went up to her. I said, does the name Michael mean anything to you? And she just started crying. I'm like, uh-oh. And she said, my fiance that died on the motorcycle, his name was Michael. And we kind of thought maybe he's coming. So we're thinking maybe it was him coming to knock on her door. That location was also the first time one of my spinner jugs went off. So I'm going to hold this up and show everybody. So I make these jugs, and it's got a spinner in it, and it's sealed. So nothing can touch that spinner. It's sealed inside the jug. I've got a crystal on the top for energy and a copper coil. And the whole premise of it, I built these so the energy will get pulled in by the crystal and the coil, and it goes down through the cork and transmits into that spinner. And I carried that thing around for about a year and a half. And I was like, well, this thing's never going to move unless there's an earthquake. And then that night at that location, it moved real slow, like in a controlled manner, like almost something had a hold of it. And Cammie saw it first, and I was like, what the hell is going on with it? She's like, it's moving. I'm like, finally, it's moving. And the second time I had it move at a house, the second time, concrete floor. And I can't talk a whole lot about that one. That was a pretty bad one. And the homeowner she was being attacked. And that time it flickered. It was flickering. And, you know, we've since then
I want to hear the cowbell go off.
Yeah, we do too. The cowbell. It's about time for the cowbell. But we.
I'm gonna get off here.
Okay.
It's gonna break my window.
Oh mercy. Well, thanks for calling in, Cindy. We appreciate you. That was Cindy from Virginia. So we got a device called the Paranormal Para-Move, and we got cowbells on there. So we got the cowbell, and then we got more cowbell, like on Saturday Night Live skit with Christopher Walken. I think it's about time for a little more cowbell.
We used a little more cowbell.
I'd love to have Christopher Walken on. I'd love to talk to him, show him our cowbell, and try to get permission to. I had the Saturday Night Live skit, and I got a warning. I didn't have permission. I don't have permission to. So we didn't play the whole thing, just a little clip. But you're generally okay to play a clip if you're critiquing it or reviewing it, that kind of thing. So that's what we do a lot of. We do a lot of reviewing evidence and stuff that other people post to say, hey, do you think this is real? Do you think it's fake? What do you think it is? And then we try to talk about different stuff we've been on, investigations. And so that was pretty cool. Cindy called in. Sounds like she's okay with the activity at her house. But if you're anywhere in the world for that matter, we're in contact with paranormal teams all over the world. But I've got a guy in Virginia that he'll go pretty just about anywhere in Virginia. He's also a musician, and yeah, we had some kids calling us from Mitchell, South Dakota last year, wanting us to come back out to the Corn Palace and do. But they're the folks that own the Corn Palace. They didn't want to do it. Have us do an investigation because it's a very touristy area, and they don't want the place being known for paranormal. Which to me, I would think it would probably be great for business, but some locations don't want that getting out if they don't want to be known for that. So, and then you have other locations, like Waverly Hills, you've got Octagon Hall, Perryville Battlefield. Your team can go in there and investigate. I think it's around $250. You can rent the battlefield for the whole night, and they've got restrooms. They got a little pavilion there. You can cook some hamburgers, whatever, make a whole night of it. So, some places, it just depends on location. Some places are embellishing it and helping the revenue to keep the place open and upkeep, and other places are like, nope, we don't want to be known for that. So, we got a comment from Cindy, said it was nice to be able to come on. That was cool. Cindy's comment right there. She's got a pretty cool little avatar there. Cool. So anyway, yeah, that was the paranormal paramoo, because you can never have enough cowbell. You got to have more cowbell. Let's see what else we got here. We talked about the Megalodon, and so this happened pretty close, about an hour and a half away from here. We're by Hopkinsville, actually Kelly, Kentucky, and we went over last year. They had the first Goblin Con. And this is all about the Kelly Goblins. It was an actual documented case where the UFO come in, the aliens were out in the trees and they're shooting at them, and pretty much had no effect. They actually called in the sheriff. They called over Clarksville, the military base. It made the national news. These things, they were kind of held them at bay in their cabin. And we met the lady. She was the niece of the dad where all this happened. And she was telling us, the firsthand account of the attack and everything. So anyway, if you ever get a chance, I think it's in the fall. They're gonna have another Goblin Con. And shout out to Pat Fitzhugh. He was over there. He does the Bell Witch books. He was there. He was on our podcast one time. One of our first guests, and his books on the Bell Witch are very detailed, very compelling. Shout out to Pat. He was there, and they had some Ghostbuster equipment. They had an actual life-size R2-D2 driving around, so it was a pretty good time. If you just want something to do on a weekend, on a Saturday, head over to Hopkinsville. And here we go, the Hop Town, Kelly.
Did you know that an entire family once fought off bulletproof aliens for an entire night? This actually happened in Kelly, Kentucky in 1955, and it's one of the creepiest alien encounters ever recorded. It started when Billy Ray Taylor saw a bright silver object crash land near the Sutton family farmhouse. Soon after, small metallic creatures with glowing eyes and claw-like hands surrounded their home. These things were about 3 feet tall and seemed to float instead of walk. The family grabbed their guns and started shooting, but here's the terrifying part. The bullets didn't hurt them. When hit, the creatures would just flip backward, scurry away, then return minutes later like nothing happened. They reached through windows, climbed on the roof, making horrible scratching sounds, and terrorized the family all night long. Finally, the Suttons fled to the police station. When officers investigated, they found unexplained claw marks on screens and walls, plus strange footprints around the house. Multiple neighbors saw the same bright object that night. The family never made money from their story and stuck to it for decades, even when people made fun of them.
Yeah, when we met the niece, I believe she was the niece. She was telling it like it just happened yesterday. So I mean, it's been like 50 years. They're still pretty freaked out about it. Here's another. This is another alien story. Basically, when there's been an alien encounter, like a UFO comes down, supposedly they leave behind these white filaments, like spider web kind of stuff. And that's kind of the first I've heard of this. I want to research this some more, but they call it like angel hair. But when you touch it, it disappears. So I don't know. Could just be a story, but I thought it was pretty
Did you know
compelling.
that UFO sightings often leave behind mysterious white threads that vanish when you touch them? This creepy stuff is called angel hair, and it's been freaking people out since the 1950s. Picture this. You're walking through your town when suddenly, strange objects appear in the sky. Then ghostly white fibers start falling like snow, covering everything in sight. That's exactly what happened to an entire French town in 1952. Hundreds of witnesses watched cylindrical crafts drop this weird material all over their buildings and trees. But here's where it gets really spooky. The moment anyone tried to grab the fibers, they dissolved like they were never there. Scientists who managed to save samples found something terrifying. These weren't normal spider webs. They contained unknown elements and had bizarre electromagnetic properties that shouldn't exist. Even the Vatican has documented cases of this stuff falling during UFO sightings over Rome. The most chilling part? Within hours, every trace disappears completely, leaving thousands of witnesses questioning what they really saw floating down from the sky.
That's pretty wild. Like UFO spider webs. But I wonder how they captured one, got a piece of it in a jar without it dissolving. Maybe it's exposed to the air too long or something. That was pretty wild. Let's see what else I got. Whoops. I got one more here. So getting back to like haunted objects, like these dolls. It doesn't always have to be a doll. If you go to a location, sometimes things can follow you home. So it's a good idea when you leave somewhere you've been investigating, or just if you're visiting, like say you just go on a tour of a haunted place. It's a good idea before you get in the car just to say a little prayer, or like, it sounds silly talking something you can't see, but just be like, look, you can't come with us. You're not welcome to come with us. Depending on where I'm at, if I'm at someone's home and they're wanting us to help cleanse it or get the activity to, go away or improve, I may not say you got to stay here, because maybe the homeowner don't want it there to stay there. They want it gone. So basically, just say you can't come with us. Wherever it goes, it goes. But that's the thing. Like sometimes you have to bring in clergy. Either a priest, preacher, deliverance minister. We happen to have one on our team. He's a demonologist. So if you ever have anything really bad, we got a guy for that. We know other teams that have people that are experts, and there's no such thing as a paranormal expert, but there are experts trained in how to try to cleanse a home or cleanse a person. Sometimes it's something on you. You might need to get some help. You might think you're crazy. You're not crazy. It could be just something's attached to you. And so the clergy can help with that. I know if you go into a bad situation, sometimes you need Team Jesus to help you get rid of it. If it's Native American, you might need an Indian shaman to help you, deal with that. And you go to the spirit world. There's a lot of different ways of dealing with different things. You don't always know what you're dealing with. So things can follow you home. I've heard of this happen at like Skinwalker Ranch, different things, stuff following you home. So that's what this video here is about.
Like creepy. Just grab some of the stuff going on at your house 15 minutes from Skinwalker. Okay, so probably the craziest one, and I won't go too much into detail on some of the circumstances from that night, but I went home. It was a film during filming, and usually I'm up till midnight anyways. But for whatever reason that day, I was like, I'm tired. I'm wiped out, and I went to bed at like 10. Well, something happened on the ranch, and it was pretty serious circumstances. And I woke up at 12 o'clock. It was 12:05, and I was like screaming, hey, because I'm thinking, gun, get the gun, get the gun. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I scared the crap out of my wife. I thought I woke up our youngest. He was, I think, a year old at that point, maybe. And I'm just going, what the hell? I'm like, I'm in fight or flight reflex.
Yeah, sometimes stuff can follow you home. My friend that does the demonology, he cleansed the house one night, and before they left, he cleansed everybody. But he said his one mistake that he made, and he said it was a bad mistake. He didn't think about it, but it ended up being a bad mistake. He didn't cleanse himself. He cleansed everybody. Did the sage. Did it. Sometimes you can use Palo Santo sage, but really the intent, the prayer, the deliverance prayer is actually probably more important than sage. Is, you can kind of cleanse the house, cleanse the air, but if there's something really bad there, sage is, from what the my guys at Spirit Mechanics will tell you, saging is kind of like shooting a rhinoceros with a BB gun. That's about it. It might clear up for a day or two, then it comes back. Some of these things come back 5, 10-fold. They call it legion. If you're ever out in investigation and stuff's getting real bad, and then the activity clears up, then it gets really bad, then they'll call that legion. They come back with a whole group, and that's when it gets really serious. So what he did is he didn't cleanse himself. He said he got home, was getting ready to go to bed, and lay down, and something grabbed a hold of his head and shoved him into the pillow, was holding him down in his own house, like a couple hours after this investigation. And so he had to do the whole ceremony all over again right there in his bedroom on himself to get this, to go away. So some of this stuff that happens is no joke. You don't always know what you're messing with, so you got to be thinking about that all the time, and what you're going to do and how you're going to deal with it. And if something follows you home, what's the plan? How are you going to deal with that? So that's something to think about. Like, I might have bought one of these dolls at the auction house. It may have an attachment. I don't know. And I not brought it into my house, so that's like, uh-oh. So I try to leave them out in the garage for a while, see if there's anything going on. But I've probably got 20 different dolls and stuff, and and stuffed animals, different stuff we've tried. And this little girl here is the only one so far that's done anything, and then she's been quiet the last 3 or 4 weeks. You gonna do anything tonight? And I may have to bring her little friend back, see if that sparks any activity. But I can't tell somebody, hey, you want a haunted doll if it's not doing anything. I can't tell you but if it's, and just like on an investigation, you don't get activity every time you go out. So don't get discouraged. If you get into this investigating and nothing happens, that's typically how it goes. It was 2 years almost before I got my first EVP. And like I say, I carried around this spinner jug for like a year and a half before it ever moved on its own. So that's something to think about too. So that's just something. I made a homemade device because I don't know that what if the batteries go bad? A lot of things, spiritual, they'll drain your batteries, sometimes, if it's a real strong, intense situation. I was at an old house and started up my camera and the battery went dead. I put 5 different batteries in before it would stay running. It was just sucking them down like that. I charged them all up before I got there. So, these things here don't run on any battery, so it's only going to pick up spiritual energy. I also know a lady, I think she's out in Pennsylvania, Get Batty with Brittany, if she's watching. She can move these without touching it with just her hands. She's ergokinetic. I call it telekinetic, but she corrected me. She's ergokinetic. She can copper, I think brass, iron, she can move, but like her dowsing rods, she has to get stainless steel dowsing rods because she can actually manipulate them. And she could walk up and move other people's dowsing rods. And she moved the spinner and the jug, not real bad. It was just barely moving, but she was moving it without touching it. So I was impressed. I was like, how are you doing that? So there's a lot of stuff out there we don't understand, but just be careful out there and don't expect something to happen every time. Most times, not a lot happens. But that's about all I got for this week on this Ides of March, Supernatural Sunday. If you're a Sagittarius like me, be careful out there. I've been told this is the year of the fire horse, like Chinese New Year. I've had several people sent me warnings this week, said be careful, there's some life changes coming, career changes, life changes, and they weren't wrong. So just be careful out there, especially should be clearing up here this middle of this week, but from the 13th till about the 16th of March, I've been told, I've had people, actually psychics, different people contact me and say, be careful, there's some big changes coming. So anyway, I appreciate everybody tuning in this week, the Ides of March, Supernatural Sunday, and y'all have a safe week, and hopefully we'll have some evidence from our trail cams that we just put out yesterday on the lady up in Bee Springs who's having all kind of activity up there. So we may even go live. The team's ready to go out. It's getting warmer out and they're ready to go. So y'all have a good one. Come on.